and we're in Mojave, home of wind energy and solar panels. But the real draw this morning is the Antelope Valley Board of Trade Conference, being held for the first time in Mojave, the Air and Spaceport Stuart Witt Events Center. Mr. Witt refurbished, along with the board of directors, this, which was called the old pool building, because pilots would train in the pool inside for crashes in the ocean. The pool has all been filled in, and it's filled with people. 800 plus, with a waiting list of 150.
Basically, I've got 4 words, and the first 2 words are sold out. So, thank you for coming. Took a little bit of a risk to change things up, took a chance, and this experiment, I think it's going to work out by the end of the day here. And the second 2 words are thank you, really. Thank each and every one of you for coming and spending the day with us. Anybody that gets the centerpieces, anybody that takes advantage of the green screen photographic opportunity, all those proceeds do go benefit the Antelope Valley College Scholarship Foundation, so I urge you to do so. It's really great being in a place like Mojave Air and Spaceport. And I'm gonna, in just a couple seconds here, we're gonna play a little video that is gonna acquaint you a little bit about what goes on here and what it's all about. So it's a really unique place. No other place in the country like it, as you'll see and you'll learn throughout the day. So let's see this video all about Mojave.
To most people, Kitty Hawk, North Carolina is just a wasteland. But to 2 brothers who were bicycle mechanics from Dayton, Ohio, it was perfect. Absolutely perfect. The steady breeze, the short runway, the soft sand for landing. Those same elements are alive and well in Mojave today. We have access to a piece of airspace that's a national treasure that's about 200 nautical miles by 200 nautical miles, and it goes from the surface essentially to the moon. I don't know of another place that has that type of geography in this industry anywhere on Earth. We have a decided advantage just because of our location right here in Mojave. Plus we have the right attitude in the aerospace valley, but this is just what we do. In Mojave, we have this cluster of highly talented, innovative people. They're still 5th graders in a lot of ways. They don't know what they can't do. And so they're not afraid to try things, and they try things every day that don't work, in hopes that they'll try something that does work. It's more of a mindset. It's more of what's inside that's driving these people. Jeff Greason, AIMS co-patent holder of the Intel Pentium 3 chip. What credentials does he have to come to Mojave, set up shop, and become a rocket scientist of a leading suborbital and orbital systems developer? Well, the same argument can be made in orbital and rover. What on earth did 2 bicycle builders have in terms of credentials to build the first vehicle to engage in flight and in power flight?
The goal of X4 is to try to bring the cost and the frequency of space transportation to a point where we can make economic use of space. Lynx is our name for the suborbital spacecraft that we're developing and have been for a number of years. It's a small ship that takes the pilot and 1 person, or the pilot and a payload, from the runway up into the space environment and back down to land. Our work is inspired by the same ethos that fueled Silicon Valley in its early days, and that competitive but also collaborative atmosphere drives us all to move more swiftly.
That is that Wright brothers effect carried into several different organizations on the flight plan. When you look in the eyes of people like George Whitesides, George could have probably been successful in any one of the 50 industries, just like Jeff Grayson, but they chose this one.
The mission of Virgin Galactic is to open space for the rest of us. So our aspiration is to bring the price down of space access and to open up the space experience to dramatically more people around the world. Right now our company is doing two different things. One is we're trying to finish flight test for our Spaceship 2 vehicle, which will bring thousands and eventually hundreds of thousands of people into space. And we're also building a new small satellite launch vehicle called Launcher 1, which will take small satellites up into orbit. Mojave is a perfect place for us because it is the center of aerospace entrepreneurial development. If you go around the world, there's really nowhere else where you can design, build, install, and test space equipment all in the same place. Literally, Mojave is the only place in the world that I think you can do all of those things at once.
It's very simple. We now have 17 companies. We have 19 rocket test sites. We have 155 basic contracts with different firms. This is the first time in the history of this airport in 40 years that the space industry now generates 50% of our total revenue. And that's a big deal. Kevin Mickey grew up in this town, and now he's back as the president and CEO of Scale Composites. He carries on that legacy and, if you will, was passed the baton by Bert Baton. And now look what's going on at Scale.
We excel at rapid prototyping and flight test. What we pursue is major milestone breakthrough projects, and that can be in aviation or now in space. Our most recent program is the program that you see behind us called Stratolaunch. And the program is to create the world's largest wingspan airplane that would carry a booster to roughly 30,000 feet, drop that off, and then the booster would take payloads of passengers onto space. The enemy of innovation is the intolerance for risk and some failure. And the Mojave Air and Spaceport, with our partner Stuart, the general manager of the airport, he's created an environment out here where we can do things in a way that you couldn't do them anywhere else in the country.
There's only one way to be totally safe, and that's stop. Where does that put humanity? There's something in the human spirit that wants to be a part of something bigger than themselves. We can't lose sight of that. And that's where this industry is. It would be very easy to just accept the fact that we went to the moon in my lifetime, and in my lifetime, we abandoned the moon. I'm not willing to accept that. Something is happening here. You can feel it. There's just a crackle. There's something in the air. I want to be able to look people in the eye and say, I was there. Were you?
Good morning. Little news flash. You're in Mojave. That's not lost on us either. It's a big deal for us. A few years back we had a goal that someday, if we were able to complete our event center, our goal was to host the AVBOT trade event in Mojave. We didn't know that Al would come up with the same idea only about 5 years sooner than our goal. And when Al brought the idea to me last year, I think I said, good luck with that, Al. And I said, but if you do get it through your board and the idea is to move the event here and try it for a year, my prediction is you'll sell out early and you'll have a waiting list. Because as Rex taught me one day in one of our first meetings years ago, he said, Stu, I can't explain it, but there's a crackle in Mojave. And he's right. The room's full. The room you're in today, 72 years ago, was the largest indoor pool in the state of California. Where you're sitting, every Marine Corps World War II ace received his swim training and parachute de-entanglement training in a gantry that ran the full length of the pool. say that it has a much higher calling. It's hallowed ground. And we can't lose sight of that. So we are so honored that you're here. If we were uncovering these glue lamps overhead, and in chalk we'd find names. We took pictures of Marines like John De Silva, VMFA 415, August 1944. So I called my Marine Corps buddy, General Gallinetti, and said, find me the historian. What happened to this guy? I sent him a picture. About 6 hours later, I think, Mel, we got a note back from Washington. He said he's interned in the National Cemetery in Long Island from injuries sustained in World War II, 1945. We know that there's countless stories like that from this room. So welcome aboard. You're on for a great ride. To the Board of Trade, we are deeply honored that you chose us. Al Hoffman, your host. I've gotten to know this guy for the last 12 years. Folks, I'd be happy to march into the mountain of hell with Al Hoffman. And we'd probably be successful. That's the kind of guy he is. The room's full of my friends and colleagues, shipmates, warriors. Thanks for coming out. You're on for a great ride today. Thanks.
Well, good morning, everyone. It is a great pleasure to be here. I greatly appreciate the Antelope Valley Board of Trades, Board of Directors, for selecting Mojave and Kern County to be the location today. We're extremely proud and excited about what happens in the Mojave Air and Spaceport, and we're equally proud and excited about some things that have been happening in Kern County. So that's what I'm going to share with you today briefly, and we'll get right to a PowerPoint that I have. First of all, there's a few things that we're really proud of that's been in the news about Kern County lately. You can see that we were selected the #5 metro in the U.S. for upward mobility, that's economic mobility, by the National Bureau of Economic Research just last month. We're in the top 20 best performing U.S. metros. That's a Milken Institute study that concluded that. #3, strongest recovering areas in the United States. #9, in engineering jobs per capita, and a lot of that obviously is happening right here in Mojave. And also #4 region for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics jobs as well. Pillars of success here at Kern County. The economic success of the Antelope Valley depends on economic diversity. Kern County has supported industry clusters within the region that are capable of providing the diversity necessary for long-term sustainable growth. You can see aerospace, value-added agriculture, tourism, and of course renewable energy are the major industries here in Eastern Kern. East Kern is cutting edge in the development of new technology. No other region even comes close. And why is that? The assets are here. The Mojave Air and Spaceport provides an unsurpassed facility for innovation and testing of new technology.
Really, really pleased to be here with you. As many of you know, I lived in the Antelope Valley for over 20 years before moving back to the San Joaquin Valley, where I was born, and where my office is now. And there is no greater group of people, there is no greater vision, and there is no other place in the world that I have traveled and been to that has more excitement, more know-how, and more, we're just going to do it no matter what anybody else tells us than this area. And I'm very, very proud of you and the role that the Antelope Valley Board of Trades Business Outlook Conference plays in getting that excitement stirred up again and getting that report card out to you about what's been done on your behalf by everyone that's involved in the team, because it's a really big team. And today, it's just really exciting for me to stand here in Aerospace Valley and look at what we have generated and know that once again, we are going to use technology and just hard work and smart rocket science, and we're going to build something that amazes the world. Now, we have a few little obstacles, and one of them is the state legislature, which I am in. And so I very quickly will just say that, you know, when there is going to be new industry and new ideas generated, politics has like this political pie, and everybody's eating on it all the time. And we have a saying up there that if you are not at the table, you are on the table. And so one of the things that I pledge to do is to be at the table for you and these projects. Stuart, Shifley, all of you from the Antelope Valley have called me. I work with all the other senators and assembly members. And we just have to make a very loud voice to elbow our room into that pie.
I am proud to say that I helped to get the Antelope Valley's enterprise zone back. Now businesses that specialize in manufacturing, recycling, and technology have the opportunity to put money back into their business and invest in the workforce of our local community. A lot of people look at the Antelope Valley and say that we are on the edges of 3 counties. But I look at us and say that we are in the center of the next big trend. And now I'd like to share with you my pick for one of the Valley's great small businesses. They have a location right down the street in Rosamond. Thank you and enjoy the conference. Take it away, Crazy Autos.
Crazy Autos is it's the best breakfast. We voted the best breakfast for almost 20 years. And it is an institution. It's a Antelope Valley ritual.
We think the small business is all through the district. Crazy Autos is one of those businesses that they have 4 of them. They're different parts of our district. They service our community. We thought they were the perfect opportunity to say, here's a business that's successful. It's helping our community.
It was an absolute honor to get that phone call that we were being recognized as the #1 small business. With my partner and I, we work very, very hard to try and make sure that everything is as best as it can be for our employees and our customers that come in here, that they're getting a clean place to eat with a friendly staff and top quality food. We know people work hard for their money, and it's great that Assemblyman and Solomon, we're doing that, that it was recognized.
It's an honor and a privilege to be here with you today. This is my 4th assignment at Edwards Air Force Base, so I've got over 10 years working with this community here. So what I want to start off with is just thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to come out and talk for a couple minutes about what we're doing in the Air Force Test Center. The other one I want to say is thank you to the community leaders and the businesses and the partnerships that we've developed over time so that we can be successful. Without a great community relationship, without working with the community, nothing that we do at Edwards or across the center can be successful. So I want to applaud you and thank you for doing all the great work you do to make the lives of the men and women that work at Edwards Air Force Base just that much better. So I really appreciate that. There are a lot of familiar faces out here that I believe are friends, and it's a great partnership, and I really want to thank you for that. I also want to, I looked at the list. I'm just happy I got an invite. I looked at some of the people that were talking today, and I thought they made a mistake by inviting me, but that's beside the point.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here in Kern County, Los Angeles County. How many of you are new for the first time at this event? How many of you are from out in California? I would think we'd have a lot of people from the East Coast here because of this weather. Anyway, what you'll find is those of you who are local of California realize that the Antelope Valley and Kern County have a philosophy that includes my 2 cities in L.A. and Palmdale, Lancaster, and my town councils, our town councils that represent the unincorporated areas. In L.A. County, we have 1.5 million people in those unincorporated areas, or we, or their mayor, or elected officials, are all in want and support of job creation. They have a philosophy of rolling out the heartland and not the red tape. Also, there are some travel lawyers in the audience, so they just lost the case. Anyway, we are here to provide an opportunity for you to invest because we have an opportunity where people have a workforce. You have a skilled workforce. You have in Antelope Valley, the Antelope Valley Crest, unlike the paper down below, is for job creation and for communities and for families. So you have all of these pluses coming into your play as to determining where you want to locate. You have the available land, you have the existing infrastructure, and skilled workforce, wonderful climate, and again, you have housing and you have access to a large consumer-based market. You know, our ports down below, they provide 70% of that cargo that comes into those ports outside of Los Angeles County to the rest of the United States. So you have an opportunity of having access to the world markets. As you know, we were in the Antelope Valley, we've been working with Palmdale to work with the Department of Defense to acquire the Palmdale Airport. So it will be under local control, which was owned by LA City. They have now relinquished that, and now we are in the process of having the United States Air Force sign off on that. We had a meeting on January 27th. We're looking forward in a short period of time of having that local control so that in the Antelope Valley, Palmdale will have access to that airport, which will enable business to expand their operations, be an economic catalyst for the region, reduce car and truck traffic, and a transportation hub for the now North County. We also believe in other areas such as quality schools and libraries. We've had some new libraries being built, and those of you from the Antelope Valley, our Quartz Hill Library RFP has been issued for a design-build project to include the land design and construction. That will provide up to 12,000 square feet on up to 2 acres of land to be completed a year from this June 2016. And it's going to be built under that successful dulce acton library that was dedicated in 2010, which also for equestrians features a hitching post for the equestrian library users. So we still believe in the equestrian lifestyle as well. We have a high desert regional health center that's going to be opening June 1st. The dedication ceremony will be May 30th. And that's a 142,000 square foot complex, $100 million plus. Will provide comprehensive outpatient services, including urgent care, primary care, outpatient surgery, diagnostic radiology, and lab services, along with an on-site clinic for foster youth, which is so important.
We met in his office, and he starts telling me, and the people that I brought, just what an incredible trick of fate being here at Mojave is. We are the center of California's transportation tomorrow. We have 58. We have a runway here, thanks to McCarthy, that will accommodate any plane capable of flying. We looked at the plan, and guess what? There's a rail line going through. And he said, what is that? And somebody said, well, that used to be a rail line. And the light goes on. He goes, well, dig it up. You know, you can count on your hands the number of airports that have a rail spur. It is just a phenomenal place to be. And then the vision of what goes on here. I feel a lot closer to Mojave than I feel anywhere else. This is a place where people actually know they can improve the world. You know, a lot of fools can change the world, unfortunately. But to improve the world, that is something we want.
Thank you, Mayor Parris. Well, it's kind of hard to follow global warming, from all your grandchildren on my back and a few of the other things I have to do. But, you know, interesting, Rex had called me and said, hey, would you mind doing about 15 or 20 minutes on some of the things we've done together? And based on the meetings I've had over the years with Rex, I know failure and no is not in his vocabulary. So I was happy to come. We have a great partnership with the City of Lancaster. We have the ability to sit down and collaborate and get things done. But the things we do, and the things I've done with Lancaster, I couldn't do without some great trade partners. We have some phenomenal partners at Cape Home. And one of them is SunPower. You know a lot about SunPower, you've seen a lot about them. They're a company that has been phenomenal for us. When we did our first home out here, our net electrical zero home, they saw a lot of what I was doing, started to see me at trade shows, and I was going to figure out how to do solar, knowing every component, every rivet, everything that went into it. And Aston Marks is a regional sales manager for SunPower came to me, and I sort of call him the Godfather, because when he came to me, he said, I want to make a presentation to you, I want to be your partner, I want to show you all the things you can do, and you have 12 minutes to accept the deal. So he sort of made me an offer I couldn't refuse. Before I go in and tell you a little bit about some of the things we're doing at KB Home and some exciting things that we're going to be showing you in a press conference next week, I want to bring Aston Marks, who's the Regional Vice President of Sales for SunPower, for new builder sales and a great partner, and let him tell you a few things we've accomplished together as partners. Aston.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you, everybody. It's a real pleasure to be here. And how far have we come? If you would have told me 10 years ago that I'd be sitting up here in front of all you distinguished folks talking about solar technology, I would say, I always thought it would happen, but it's amazing to see that solar technology actually got started in the space industry. So there's a wonderful synergy in California. And as Senator Fuller said earlier, we never quit. We never quit when it comes to building innovative things. Just last year, a solar plane similar to this actually traveled the world using SunPower solar cells with no electricity, with no external power, just the solar cells powering that plane around the world. What innovation. Just down the road from here, SunPower is building the world's largest solar electric power plant called Solar Star. It's 579 megawatts, which is enough power to generate electricity for 250,000 homes. We've created 650 jobs in the Antelope Valley and $500 million of added economic activity. And we do this without using water. And there's a big concern, as you've heard, about the water usage in the state. And the great thing about photovoltaics or solar electricity, we do not need water to generate our power. And all of this has been done with partnership. Partnership at many levels. A lot of people say it's hard to work with public and private entities. But I can tell you I'm here today because of those partnerships. At the federal level, there's a solar tax credit equal to 30% of a system's cost. At the state level, through the California Energy Commission, there is a program called the New Solar Homes Partnership, which gives rebates and incentives to home builders like KB Home to include solar in their new homes. And also at the city level, as you heard in the city of Lancaster, we have zero permit fees for solar. We have expedited plan check, and I encourage the city to continue to incentivize builders to do that by those improvements. Which brings me to KB Home and their double zero home. We call it the double zero home because it's not only a zero electric home, which means it produces all the electricity it needs, it also produces the water it needs through a great water system. How many of us have been in the shower or washing dishes and says, it seems to be a shame that this water is going down the drain and not watering my garden? Well, they've figured out how to do that. And I think gray water is going to be a huge step, and my hat's off to Lancaster because many of the cities down in Southern California do not allow gray water. So I'm glad to see that they're pushing the envelope.
Pleased to join you today as we orbit 260 miles above the planet. From being the home of the X-15 to the birthplace of the space shuttle, the Antelope Valley has been contributing to the nation's program for over 5 decades. From the very beginning, it was the Antelope Valley that supplied the people, the facilities, and the expertise needed to perform the test flights of the shuttle Enterprise and support the 135 orbital missions of Columbia, Challenger, Discovery, Atlantis, and Endeavour. The International Space Station could not have been assembled without your efforts. It's hard to believe the first component of the ISS was launched into orbit over 15 years ago. Today, the ISS is without parallel in size, scope, and success. Thank you for your contributions.
encounters with Gabby differently. Our guest speaker's wife. There is no greater sign of courage and character than what you see with Gabby. And, what a great facility. I know what you all thought when you first said we're going to come to Mojave. You wondered how it's going to turn out. But it's sold out. When you pulled out. And then when you pulled out, you saw the building. It was named properly after Stuart. I want to give you a little talk. I know you don't look excited when you hear somebody that's here that serves in Washington, but I will tell you this, despite what you look on the outside, it is better. We're in a better place than we have been. Once we got the budget agreement done, we actually have our numbers for this year and next. We no longer have that pitfall, that uncertainty. We're able to prioritize where we're going to invest, and you know what? We did invest in aerospace. And when I came out here today, there's a lot of famous quotes about aerospace. But the most famous one, they really can't even tell you who said it. Many people talk that maybe it was Da Vinci, maybe it was somebody else, but many of you probably heard it. When you once have tested flight, you will forever walk the earth with your eyes towards skyward. For there you have been, and for there you will always long to return. That is the description of this aerospace valley. From Plant 42 to Ridge Race. For the last 60 years, from that moment we broke the barrier, we tasted that flight for that one moment, we have never taken our eyes off the sky. You look around, our eyes just went further. And that is unique. That is something different than anybody else can have. And remember when you grow up and you go to a job interview or you're sitting around friends and you're asking each other questions like, if you could go back in time, where would you go? Or if you could meet somebody in history, who would you want to meet? And I've been asked that question many times, and they usually tell me 3 places you want to go back in time. And I will tell you, all through my life, my answers for the first 2 have always been the same. And the other night, a group of members, we were getting together because we don't have many other friends, so we hang together. And we were asking these questions, and one asked it upon me. He said, if you could go back to 3 places in time, where would you go? My first have always been the same, and it's based more on my faith. I would yearn to be in Israel at the time of Jesus. I want to be on the Sea of Galilee. I want to hear the Sermon on the Mount. I want to see him. I want to hear him. I want to feel that grace. The second place I always want to go is actually the same as well, and it's my love for the country. I want to be there during the creation of this country, of the founding fathers, the revolution. Because those people were put on place at a certain time for a reason. They were right out of central casting. And they did unbelievable things, not just the founding fathers, but everybody in the country. And I would yearn to be able to be there. But when it came to the third answer, always in the past I talk about, I want to meet Da Vinci, or Einstein, or Edison. And I looked at my members and they looked at me and said, well, you didn't give a third. You can't find a place you want to go? I said, because there's no other place I want to be. I want to be right here, right now, in this time. They said, well, I don't understand that, Kevin. I said, because in the past I would say Da Vinci, I would say Einstein. But I'm watching him before my very eyes in my own district. They said, what are you talking about? You know what I talked about? Aerospace Valley. I talked about the moment that I sat on this runway watching him land for the X Prize. I talk from the moment when I sit and talk to individuals who are about to go to space. I'm being able to be a part of that and live through that. We all are. I've watched the last 12 years of this airport and spaceport go. I'm not sure the number today, but at the time Stu told me there was 14 companies. Today there's more than 160, but it's been a week since he told me, so I'm sure it's probably up to 180. 3,000 jobs. But I'm watching the world change before our eyes right now. The next 100 years, they'll write about what happens in the next 10 years here.
And I never thought I would see the time when we would bring the powerful, the successful, and the great minds of Lancaster, Palmdale, into Kern County. So the synergy that's created by this event is appreciated from a little guy like me. And when I have to compete with something as serious as digestion, I have to bring something to the table, and that is brevity. And I think you'll appreciate how quick I'm going to bring to you the news from Palmdale. You know, there's a fact that remains that we have really emerged from a very difficult economic time. Probably the worst time ever, economically. And there's reason for continued optimism. And I'm going to share with you real quickly some of the exciting things that are coming to Palmdale. And the manufacturing side, as you all well know, we are bringing to the Antelope Valley a very, very efficient, effective power plant. We are also, as Supervisor Antonovich shared with you, we're looking forward to Kinky Sharo and the growth that they're going to bring and the employment, up to 150 jobs. A manufacturing company called Endura, Precision Labs, AeroWire Technical Services. Our medical sector is also continuing to grow. And we've recently welcomed to our medical community the Antelope Valley Cancer Center, the Palmdale Regional Medical Center Wound Care Center, Palmdale Health and Wellness Center, Care One Primary and Urgent Care Center, Vargo Physical Therapy, the Joy Chiropractic Place, and construction continues on the Tonin Medical Office on 5th Street West. Our retail also continues its growth. The Antelope Valley Mall's renovation of 113 square foot former Harris Gottschalk's building will now include the exterior design leading into Dick's Sporting Goods. It will also include a redesigned entertainment plaza. Other new retailers to the Antelope Valley include Buckle K Jewelers, Sprint Wireless, Invisible Shield by Zack, Francesca's, and Paradise Furniture. The Family Christian, which is the largest specialty retailer with 280 stores in 36 states, has opened a brand new store in Palmdale. We now have the Cruise Through Car Wash. A new construction has just begun on Rancho Vista Boulevard and 10th Street West, where we'll be welcoming a franchise you're all familiar with, Chick-fil-A.
Technology is not a staircase of 10 stairs and you jump 10 steps. It's every step at a time, and every step brings some risk. We must be able to take the risk. So that's what my bills are going to be talking about. There are great people out there, and thank God for their bravery, thank God for their ingenuity, and for the cash. I like that too. But we're going to allow risk to be taken. We're going to minimize it as much as we possibly can. But in the end, I want to go to Tokyo in 2 hours. Now, I might be 90, and they'll be wheeling me into the spaceship, but I still want to do it. So don't quit, Stu.
Personal note, that is that I brought my wife and my mom with me today because I figured if I brought 2 people, at least one person would clap for me when I'm talking. So hopefully that'll work out. So this is a great opportunity for me to introduce many of you to the business and to reintroduce many of you to the business and tell you some of the exciting things that we're doing. So I'm going to focus mostly on the business, and I'll end with a project that we're doing that's really exciting these days. So we're in our 32nd year here, started by Burger 10. We've been anchored here at the Mojave Air and Spaceport for our entire tenure. We are in composite aircraft design, prototyping, and flight test. Our passion is to design, build, and test, and flight test aircraft. That is what we want to do. We are very proud of our government customers that we serve, our ability to service them. We get most of the credit for our commercial work. Those are the things that we probably know most about, that you read in the paper. But we're really proud, and a shout out to anybody who's ever served. Thank you so much. We are up to 550 now. This chart, I almost can't print it fast enough because we're growing so quickly, and I'll show you a chart on that. We are the Mojave Air and Spaceport's largest leaseholder. We have 450,000 feet here on the airport now, and we're proud of the fact that our financial impact to The local economy is 30+ million in wages, and that is a great statement for Mojave. In the mission statement there, I don't need to read it to you, but the important words are the ones that are highlighted. Going back to Bert Rutan and how he ran the company, and we think that we continue to run it today, and that is that if you provide a fun, creative, and efficient work environment, that people are going to get up every morning, that they're going to want to come to work, and that they're going to want to do great things, and that by default will make your business successful. Scale's a unique place. When somebody has an idea, only an idea, of something that's grand, and they think to themselves, who can be successful in this endeavor? Scale is who comes to mind. So while there are competitors in any one of these aspects of this, what we call the horseshoe of competency, I think only Scale is a company that comes to mind when you say, I want to go from a clean sheet of paper to flight test results, and that's again right here in Mojave.
f.i.r.s.t robotics team 399. These folks, over 15 years now, have been absolutely great, fabulous. And one of the reasons they're getting this award is because they've been true ambassadors for the Antelope Valley. They've been the regionals, they've been the nationals, they've traveled across this country and represented the Antelope Valley well in various competitions. They're great winners of competitions. In 2010, 2011, they were the Google Rise Award winners for inspiration in science, technology, engineering, math, and computer sciences. The other thing these young people do is they actually get involved in the community. They go to middle schools and mentor kids in the STEM-related fields and help them with robotics programs. They've been working with the Course Hill folks. Most of the students go on and get into some kind of mentoring thing with other schools, other kinds of robotics programs. Many do go on and become the engineers that we need, the pilots that we need, the astronauts that we'll need. It's just been a fantastic history and legacy that they have. So after 15 years, it's really time to recognize the Lancaster High School Eagle Robotics Team 399. folks that within 2-3 years will see breaking boundaries there in Mojave, over at Dryden, maybe Seattle, Fort Worth. I'm going to present this to Victor, to Natalie, and their advisor, Dave Barachek from NASA Dryden. So if you guys would come forward, we'll give you the opportunity to take your award.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and pleasure to introduce to you Captain Mark Kelly.
It is really great to be here in Antelope Valley, where gravity is a nice reliable 1G, where I can breathe oxygen at will, and where it would appear that most of you are not space aliens. But to the rest of you, let me just say, I come in peace. You know, Bono and I have something in common. My wife, Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords, is in love with both of us. You see, a couple of weeks before Gabby and I were to get married, she sat me down and she said, you know, I've been looking for the right person for a long time, and I'm pretty sure that's you, but I need to tell you something. And she told me that there was somebody else, and she explained that that person was Bob. Well, about a month after Gabby was injured, she was in the hospital in Houston, Texas. I get a call on my cell phone, and the guy on the other end says, hey Mark, this is Bono. And I said, Bono who? He said, it's just Bono. He said, you know, I had this feeling that I met your wife before on a trip he made to Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill. And he told me that he went back and he looked through all the pictures that he'd taken with members of Congress. And Bono told me that he found that picture of him and Gabby, and that he now kept that picture on his desk at home. And I said, what a coincidence. Same picture that my wife has on her desk. There's no picture of me and Gabby. There wasn't even Gabby and any president. Just Gabby and Bono. So needless to say, I did not invite him to come visit her in the hospital. Right there. And after about a month, I find out that I am not Maverick. I am not a particularly good pilot. I actually really struggled for a long period of time. And after about a year, I had to go out and land on an aircraft carrier for the first time. Now, when the Navy sends you to land on a ship for the first time, there is not anybody that's crazy enough to go with you. You, all by yourself. And I remember it like yesterday, flying off Naval Air Station, Jacksonville, Florida, out to the USS f.i.r.s.t. Seemed like it was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. It's really only like 50 miles offshore. Come up upon this ship and it looks like a little postage stamp just floating there in the ocean. Nobody in the back seat. Fly overhead the ship and I do what's called a touch and go landing. I think we got a lot of people in the aerospace industry here. So I put down my gear and flaps, I touch the deck, take off again. I go around, I do that a second time. Third time around, I put that tail hook down, the arresting hook. I expect to stop in the wires. I don't. Keep going right off the front of the ship again. Finally, the fourth time around, I came to a stop. I taxied to the catapult. You get hooked up to the catapult, and you get shot off from 0 to like 150 miles an hour in about 2 seconds. And I went around and I did that 3 more times. Entire experience, just a blur. Barely remember any of it. Then I went back to the shore that night, and that evening I was debriefed by the instructor pilot that had been watching from the back of the ship. You know what the first thing he says to me is? He says, are you sure this career is for you? You did not do particularly well. You actually did so bad, I think Tom Cruise would have been better. And I don't mean the character from the movie, I mean the actor. Tom Cruise probably would have done better than me. But you know what? I didn't give up. And the guys that did really well that day,
And I know some of them today, sometimes I'll run into them on Southwest Airlines. They didn't go on to become test pilots or astronauts. My point is this. You know how good you are at the beginning of anything you try? It's not a good indicator of how good you can become. I am a prime example of somebody who was able to overcome a lack of aptitude with practice, persistence, and the drive to never, ever, ever give up under any circumstances. That is the only thing that worked for me.